Hey, we are live. Welcome to Sapphire Ridge News. I was going to talk about a different subject, but these tariffs keep coming up. And so I think that we need to talk about them. The tariffs will actually be good for our country. And let me explain. Hey, Julianne, because Trump is doing reciprocal tariffs, reciprocal means if you charge us a tariff, we're charging you 50% of what you charge us. And here's an example. We charge Japan a 2% tariff for rice. They charge us 700% for rice. That is not fair. You know, all these countries been taking advantage of us, and it's not fair. And also, if you build a plant here and sell your product as they're made here, no tariff. So companies are flocking to the US to build plants here and sell products made here so they don't have to pay a tariff. You have countries from all over the world calling the White House and saying, enough, I'll do whatever you want, don't charge us a tariff. And then we have people saying that that's a bad thing. How is that a bad thing? How is supporting your country a bad thing? Right. I won't buy pork from China. I won't buy fish shipped from China because they put and I won't buy chicken from China because they have these big pens the size of container ships, and they fill it with water on the bottom. They put the fish in the bottom, then they stack one on top, and they put um, the pigs in that one, and they put chickens in with the pigs. They feed the pigs. They don't feed the chickens, and the pigs crap in the water with the fish. I won't buy fish from China. Hi, Zach. How are you today? I almost went out and streamed last night, but I was so stressed out from a situation I'm dealing with personally that I decided to wait until today. My grandson walked into his school yesterday. He lives with my daughter's ex in Florida. He's like 13 or 14. Told his counselor, I don't want to live with my dad anymore. I want to live with my mom and my two sisters in Montana where I know I'll be safe. Boom. My daughter has been trying to get custody of that kid for 2 years. For 2 years. Florida has fought her no matter what. See, my grandson has autism, and his dad refuses to acknowledge that he has autism, won't put him in the special classes that he needs, puts him in regular school, which is not a good thing because he's failing all of his classes because he doesn't understand what the teacher's telling him. And instead of doing the right thing and getting a school where he understands what is being said, his dad keeps pushing him into the same school, tries to medicate him to hell so that he's stupefied when he's at school. And my daughter has had proof of all of this and taken it to the courts, and the courts have been against her. And now, because he walked in to the school and said, "I'm not safe at home," and told them something that's going on at home, they yanked him from the house, called my daughter, and said that your son is being sent to you on an airplane in 2 days. Yeah, but we had 2 days to get him clothes, to get food in the house, extra food in the house. Yeah, we found that out yesterday, and he's supposed to be flying in by Sunday. So we have 3 days to get all this stuff done. We were both going a little nuts, but we're both happy. I don't know if they're going to let him bring his clothes. He lives in Florida. This is Montana. It's 35 degrees out right now. So I sent her a bunch of money and said, go get that boy some clothes. Have that house ready for when he gets there. But it's just very frustrating when you lay out your evidence of what you know is going on and the court says, nope, I don't think it's happening. And then the kid has to go into his school and verify what's going on at home to the point that they pulled him immediately, and DCF is going to investigate his dad, which is a good thing because his dad's a jerk. I don't like him. But I'm just relieved that it's finally over. We've been fighting this fight for 2 years. I don't know. Florida is what they call a 50-50 state where the the father can claim one or all of the children. Her other two children had different dads, but the father can claim the child and go to court and say, "I want the kid to live with me," and they'll say, "Okay, you get custody." Florida's messed up like that. In Florida, yeah, and also Florida, if you're married for over 10 years, your spouse gets 50% of everything, including your retirement. I divorced at 8 years. And the only way she can get out of getting your retirement is can prove, if you can prove that you were collecting, like I get disability from the VA. After 10 years, she could have put in a claim for half of my disability. And the way I got out of it was I said, "Hey, I've been collecting this for 20 years and we've been married for 8." And then she didn't show up for the Zoom hearing. Yeah, we didn't have any kids. But as they say, that's water under the bridge. Just keep my grandson in your prayers and your thoughts because it's going to be an adjustment for him to come up here, but it's going to be a good adjustment, if you know what I mean. So, back to the topic at hand, tariffs. Now, I wasn't going to cover this, but there was some new information from this morning. Apparently, multiple countries from all over the world are calling the White House and begging them to take the tariffs off. And my view is, well, we should only take the tariffs off of them if they take the tariffs off of us. Because Canada charges us 250% for dairy products. If we try to sell a dairy product in there, they charge a 250% tariff. 250%. That those kind of numbers are outrageous, and those kind of numbers are why, right? They don't check each package. I've delivered to ports. They unload your trailer. I used to drive a truck, and they take it from your truck. It goes through customs, and they put it right in the ship. Right. That's like I was explaining about rice. We charge Japan a 2% tariff on rice, and they charge us 700%. In Canada, no U.S. bank is allowed to operate in Canada. They are banned. No U.S. cars are allowed to be sold in Canada, even though we have factories in Canada that build cars. It's just crazy. Same thing with Japan. Japan is not allowed to sell us certain models of cars until they've been out for 10 years. Yeah, I saw that on X this morning that she come out against Elon. She will rue the day she did that. Yeah, they're playing a lot of BS games. You know, call it musical ports. Some of them send have us send products to them because we charge them a lower tariff, and then they turn around and repackage it and ship it to another country that doesn't charge them any tariff. So we get screwed all the way around. Right. You know, China, I was watching a podcast this morning on China. China does not import any products from anywhere in the world. Chinese citizens are not allowed to buy products that are not made in China. Right. That's like American car companies. It's not American parts anymore. The parts are made from all over the world and it's assembled here. We use all of our engines and transmissions and stuff used to be made here. They're made in Mexico. They're made in Europe, other countries, all of South America. And then they have the parts shipped here and assembled here. And then they tell people it's an American made car. It's like one of the Ford cars. I can't think which one it was. One of their small cars. If you open the trunk, there's a sticker there that says assembled in North America, made of parts manufactured by Kia. There's always loopholes, is right, Zach. There's always loopholes. Sometimes good, sometimes not good, but there's always, yeah, the WF ought to go out of business, ought to be put out of business because their sole purpose is to screw America. And yeah, you're right, Zach. A T-shirt with a tag that says "Made in the USA" could mean that only the tag was made in the USA. Now they don't even have tags on T-shirts anymore. It's spray ink that comes off in the wash. These are all what Trump is doing is all good things. Yeah, there will be some short-term pain, but like Lee Zeldin, the EPA administrator, was on, I think it was Fox yesterday, and he said that the carb emissions are going away. and he said there was a bunch of other emissions that were put into being just to hurt American car companies, and he said we will not stand for it. Right. I like Lee Zeldin. I was glad that he was made administrator of the EPA, and I'm kind of glad that he didn't win being governor of New York because even though he had only lost by like 9 or 10 percentage points, we wouldn't have his knowledge at the EPA if he had won. Yeah, and that's because they take fruits and vegetables that are grown in Guatemala and Mexico and other Latin countries, and then they ship it here. And because it's processed and packaged here, they can put product of the USA on it because it was processed and packaged here. When I drove a truck, I used to deliver to um, Red Gold. They make ketchup and tomato sauce. I would never buy from them, ever. They have a concrete floor with a section like about a foot wide, and they have you back in, and they have these dump trucks back in, and they dump the tomatoes and the fruit on the concrete floor, and then they take shovels and shovel it into that drain. I call it a drain. It's like a ditch, concrete ditch in the floor, and it has an auger that takes it up into the factory. And when they shovel that in there, dirt from the concrete floor goes right in with it. And it's like, no, I would never buy from them. That's gross. Right, I agree with that, Zach. Some products, it can't be discerned where they originated. Also, also, this is some good news. I talked to um, tech support for EV Mux. They're going to call me in the morning and do a video conference and set up me being able to stream to Twitter. They're going to fix it with me on the phone. Yeah, yeah, extra crunchy with cement. But they claim that from that, I would call it a that thing in the floor with an auger, that it goes up and it takes it up and it puts it in a a vat that washes it. It's like, do you think I'm on drugs? The hell? Yeah, Every time I try to stream to X, or used to be Twitter, it keeps saying waiting for permission. That's been going on for 6 weeks. And so I finally wrote tech support last night and told them I am still not able to stream to Twitter. I have a premium account. I have followers there. I need to be able to start streaming to X. And they said they would they would call me and do a video chat first thing tomorrow morning and get it fixed. Said it should only take a half hour. I hope so because I really like this software setup and I miss being able to stream to X because I know I have followers there. I have like 1,200 and something followers there. Yeah, and I told them that I have a premium account on X, and they sent me back a message saying we can fix it. Made an appointment for a video conference, so they're gonna do that at 8 o'clock in the morning, which is fine. I'm usually up by 6:30. Yeah, I I eat at some restaurants, but anymore I like to eat at home. I don't think that's gross that the kids help the parents make the cookies as long as the parents, you know, watch over the kids. Yeah, yep. Gotta watch where you buy coffee from. Like I like Colombian grown varieties because I've watched how they grow their coffee beans, and I like the Kona brand of coffee because it comes from Hawaii. I used to help my mom bake and stuff, and I never licked my fingers and stuck them in the bowl or drooled in the bowl. If you don't teach your kids how to bake and how to cook and do it the right way, then they grow up to be unable to fend for themselves. Yeah, I saw that Harry might get deported. I saw that Harry might get deported because he lied on his application. Right. They sell junk foods. No, that's not correct, Zach. I lived in Florida where they have fields and fields of growers, and they put porta potties on the edge of every field. And the porta potties stay there for weeks and weeks on end. And they have companies that come out and empty the porta potty. And they're not very expensive to rent because when I lived on 5 acres in a camper, I rented one and it only cost me like $25 a month. And the guy came twice a week and took care of it. Well, they should, or they should not be used. Right. Sometimes I miss living off the grid. Yeah, there's a guy here in Montana that has the YouTube channel. Actually, two of them. It's Welker Farms and Fast Ag Farms. And Welker Farms, they have these great big, huge tractors. They call them Big Bud tractors. And they bought them, and they are completely renovating them and make them putting GPS in them and a bigger motor and bigger tires, and they do all the work themselves. They don't farm out much of nothing except like if they need a transmission or an engine rebuilt, they'll take it out, take and send parts out at a time. And there's a truck driving channel that I watch called Gentry and Sons. He's old school. He takes care of his truck like I took care of my truck. And he buys the, the older equipment and then fixes it up, puts a driver in it, and he has a truck called Rooster. Man, that truck is something. Do a YouTube search sometime, put in Gentry and Sons space Rooster. He's got I think it's a 379, 359 Pete that he put a 3406 cat in it. And he took it to the Mid America Truck Show. And and he uh, he was at the show, and uh, one of the vendors walked up to him and offered him a $10,000 turbo upgrade if he'd do it there at the show. And he said, "Bring me the parts. We'll do it. Come on." Um, the U.S. is removing tariffs off of all vehicles and trucks that are manufactured here. If it's made here, there will be no tariff. Previously, they had a variety of tariffs on different manufactured goods. Um, this stuff with the diesel exhaust fluid, that needs to go away because that's just an extra added expense for the truck driver. The diesel engine doesn't need it to run. They didn't have tariffs on light trucks. They had tariffs on trucks and cars that were not built here. Does that answer your question, Zach? Yeah, they were imported. Yes. And yeah, that's a good truck, Julianne. Right, right, Zach. They put a tariff on the trucks, but not the cars. Well, now they're going to tariff foreign cars and trucks. And it's working because the car companies are saying, okay, we will close our plant in Mexico and Canada and ramp up production in Detroit. And car companies that build in Tennessee and South Carolina, as long as it's built here, there will be no tariff. And that's our country used to not ever have an income tax. Before 1913, there or 1930, I think it was, there was no income tax. This was a tariff-based country, and that's what people are not understanding. The way that it was before, yeah, the tariffs was started on light trucks built overseas to encourage people to buy American-made products, and that kind of got lost. Ford has improved some. Ford has improved. GM has gone down. Chrysler is like in limbo. You have a president of Chrysler that was born in Europe and raised in Europe and doesn't understand the American car market. He thinks that he can build American made cars the way they're made in Europe. That'll never work. Like, I watched this thing on the difference between American trucks and trucks made in Europe. Every truck made in Europe, like big trucks, they're governed to 55 miles an hour. If they do over 55 miles an hour, they get a steep ticket. Yeah, Lee Zeldin said he's working on removing regulations that purposely raise the cost of cars made in the US that were put there to basically try and put American car companies out of business. And he said, we're done with that. Yeah, Kia makes a good vehicle. What do you hear? Well, I'm going to get off of here. This has been a good discussion. So let's leave it here and we will pick up tomorrow. Love you guys. Have a good day. Bye now.